What's poppin', everybody? It's your girl tuadior, and I am back with another video. I've been gone for a minute, but I'm back with the jump off goons in the back case son. So if you guys don't know, I really love Reddit. It just be having the craziest things, and so I kind of wanted to do a Reddit and my so we can talk about it and chop it up. Am I the a-hole for catfishing my date? So I, 30, got called a catfish by my date, and I'm wondering, am I really in the wrong? Okay, girl, that would be the worst thing that happened in my life if my date came up to me and said I was a catfish. If my date called me a catfish, I think I would just, end it all at that moment. But let's see what she got to say. So I recently went through a breakup after a relationship that lasted about 6 months. We met through apps and I put mine on snooze, so all the stuff is still there. After taking a few months post breakup, I decided I was ready to go back out there. In the time since I've last been on apps, I've lost about 20 pounds. Okay, so this girl, she actually lost weight. Most people, they actually gain weight. So I didn't change much on my profile because I didn't feel like it was necessary. I liked all the pictures I had from before and figured that if people are gonna like me, it doesn't really matter if I was heavier or skinnier anyways. So fast forward yesterday, meeting this girl. Sorry, I assumed, but it's a female relationship. Sorry. Meeting this girl for a first date, and we could tell off the vibes that we get towards the end of the dinner. She mentioned that I didn't look like my pictures. When I asked what she meant by that, she said I was bigger than my pictures and in person, and I explained, that I lost weight and, it shouldn't be an issue. And she told me that she felt like I lied and that it was rubbing her the wrong way. Again, I explained that, I don't want to be with somebody fat phobic and whatever like that. She said that she got that, but she felt like it was catfishing because they lied and she wasn't interested in seeing me again. Each to their own, but am I the a-hole for this? In the dating world, your dating app, that's your resume. I hate to call it a resume and a job, but when you put your dating profile out there, that's your resume. Okay, you gotta present what it is. This story is weird because she actually lost weight and most people are complaining because they gained weight. So I just think that you should always on your dating profile put the most accurate version of yourself. I think that a lot of the deception comes from people pretending to be things that they're not and over exaggerating or under exaggerating things, And I think that dating, honestly, my unpopular opinion is that most of today's dating issues would just come with proper communication. And that's not just only with what you say, but it's how you present. It's how you communicate. And so I think that OP actually is wrong for not updating their pictures. When you're dating online, try to FaceTime the person first before you go. FaceTime, get on the phone, get a feel for the person before you actually waste time going on the date. But I also think that the date is also wrong because, again, if they look good, it doesn't matter if they're bigger or smaller. If you like them, she might not have even liked OP, and maybe she was just looking for a reason to end the connection right then and there. Should I do FWB with my ex? So I, 19 male, broke up with my girlfriend, 19 female, the other night. We talked from June up until the end of November. We've been together from August until November. I've broken up with her multiple times, but I always come back. I think it's because of the 19 theory. What's that? So the 19 theory is the popular internet concept that your person that you date that's the craziest is the person you gonna date at 19. So I actually kind of agree with this theory. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, that's what it is. And because I have had a bad relationship with my mom, I noticed the effect that it has in my relationship, but this one affected me more heavily. So these are little kids, guys, so bear that in mind. So I told her straight up, I don't want to be with you no more. She cried, then we went to go get ice cream. I only agreed to take her so that we could end the breakup on a good note, at least without tears. Yeah, that's when she mentioned FWB and was very eager for it. She literally switched from being heartbroken to little broing. She offered FWB and that we wouldn't work out together anyway, so she could at least try again way later in the future. I agreed to do this. Am I making a mistake? story, they're both 19 years old, right? But I think one thing is, this can apply to anybody in age, is should you still be in communication with your ex? And obviously the obvious answer is no, right? But they're really young. I'm talking like I'm so old, but like I remember myself at 19, like I did not know anything. I didn't know anything. Like I was out here making so much mistakes. I was out here, having situationships and doing all that stuff. So essentially they're trying to enter into a situationship. And I think for the girl, it's with that opportunity so that he's always available to her. What I would say honestly is y'all need to go and focus on your money up, because with the inflation going on right now, y'all got to focus on your career. That's what I would first say. But on this more serious note, obviously they shouldn't, but I think this opens up a bigger door as to kind of navigating those emotions at that young age. Is that you feel like when you're 19 and you're with somebody, you feel like that's going to be your person, right? You kind of feel like you've never really, you're elevated from like high school where it's like whatever. And you're like thinking that it's like forever because it's one of your first experiences, like as an adult, dating and things like that. And some people are very lucky. They find their person at 18, 19 years old. Others of us, we find our person a little bit later than that. But I think that it's really important that if something doesn't work out, you don't want to create unnecessary soul ties. And it's something that I had to work through a lot in my early 20s, was not creating bonds with people that not good for me. If I've noticed that you're not a good person to me, and it's okay to fight and like come together, but if you're not healthy for me, if you're making me do things I'm not supposed to be doing, if you're causing me to just be a horrible person, not be on my grind, you're causing toxicity in my life, you're making me stressed out, raising my anxiety, I shouldn't be with you, right? And I think that FWBs honestly create those kind of situations because somebody's going to get hurt. And I know some people say, I'm strong, we can just do our little thing on the side. But honestly, I don't really think that that's like true. I honestly do not think that you're going to just have your little boo on the side. I think that everybody eventually ends up, feeling something, and then it just complicates things. But I get their age, they are probably thinking like it can be chill, but knowing that they break up and make up and all the time, it's just kind of crazy. I think the best thing is to separate and live your life. If I could tell anybody that's 19 right now, get your money up. Get your money up. Get your money up. You don't need to be worried about no boys, no girls. Get your money up, not your funny up. You know what I'm saying? Because the prices of food nowadays, you can't get a house, you can't get a job. It's crazy out here. So focus on your grind, your network, your net worth. Comment below, what would you tell your 19-year-old self? Am I the a-hole for calling my fat friend out? Oh, me and my friend started working together at the same facility a few years ago, and if I'm being very honest, he's gotten very big, but like that's none of my business. I mean, clearly it's your business if you make it a post about him. But he keeps bringing up his weight and wanting to lose weight. I went on a weight loss journey and I'm still on it. I have kids, a job, no childcare, and pretty much zero personal time, but I've made changes. I started running from home to work instead of like taking my car, and it's been pretty difficult, but it's working. But my friend keeps claiming the reason he can't lose weight is because he doesn't have time. He talks about it weekly, and to be frank, it's annoying. I told him that honestly it sounds like an excuse and explained that you have to make time. Clock it. So he responded and said, it's not excuses, even though that's how it seems, like zero time for himself. So I brought up how every week he says the same thing, that he's bored and he has no plans, and he always goes on his motorbike. Why doesn't he replace that with walking? Stop using the elevator in work and use the stairs. We have a lot of stairs. We have a lot of people with medical conditions. And so, there's opportunities to even exercise at work. He angrily told me that if he had time for the gym, it's something he would do. So I told him, I know several people at work that literally go to the gym after work. You just need the willpower. I could tell he was not happy with what I said, and he told me that he has mental health issues and that his ankles hurt, and that I should know that because they've been friends before. So now all of a sudden your ankle hurt. Nah. OP is like me. When you come to me and you vent about something, I'm always going to give you a solution because I don't like being in problems. I have really bad anxiety, so like I literally don't like to be in problems. If you come to me with any kind of issue, I'm going to try to find a way to solve it ASAP. Like I have had to learn over the years that people just vent, right? But if you vent about something that I feel like is complaint and also being more spiritually inclined, one thing I've also learned is that honestly, faith without works is dead. If you're complaining about something, you have the willpower to do something to change your situation. And if you constantly sit and relish, and it's okay to have emotions, but when you keep relishing in like problems, especially if the problem has a solution, I'm gonna get annoyed too. And I'm not, I know the culture and the climate nowadays is you can't comment on people's weight, you can't say this about people, you can't say that about people, and mental health is real. But what I do think is that accountability is also real too. If you keep complaining about your weight and you keep complaining about how things are not working out for you, you have to understand that it's not that this guy has like something that doesn't allow him to move. He can move. He just doesn't want to take a step. There's people every day going on weight loss journeys and trying their best to lose even just 5 pounds. So it doesn't even have to be a big goal, but you have to want it for you. I don't think OP is wrong for keeping it real. I think we are losing a lot of people that are keeping it real. Everybody wants to spare everybody's feelings, but what we're not realizing is that we have to keep it real with our friends. If I love you and care about you and you come to me, if it's a dating issue, it's a weight issue, financial issue, I gotta be real with you. I know that sometimes we don't want to ruffle people's feathers, but if you care and love somebody, you gotta be real with them. So that's something that I honestly don't think OP is the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for calling out my friend's relationship? So this is finna be messy. So this happened like a year or two ago, but it still kind of bothers me to this day. So I'm a 19-year-old male. Okay, all these 19-year-olds. And I've been close to 2 friends that have been dating for 3 years. So they're all 19, so this kind of happened when they were in high school. So the friends are called Ken and Ange. So for some context, these 2 people built their entire relationship on obsession. So within 2 weeks of knowing each other, they were already dating. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, and I didn't really mind, but were just shocked at how fast things move. They do a lot of PDA, which is public displays of affection. They did it everywhere, every day. It was insane. It started making out in front of us in the middle of the room, lying down on the floor. It was just kind of crazy. Okay, so they went on like this for like a year, but we just had to tolerate it because they were our friends. And so fast forward, I found out from a mutual friend that, let's call her May, that Ken and Ange broke up in December of 2023. May was bombarded with messages from Ange crying and ranting about their love life and regret and stuff. I was shocked and honestly surprised and locally glad that they broke up. May and I were discussing the whole thing, and it's good for them to take a break and figure themselves out, which came from honesty and sincerity, but then again, we're glad they were done. So in 2024, they told us that they had broken up, and then Ange was the one that told me, saying the things that happened to them was Ange basically cheated on Ken and all that stuff, and I tried to be supportive and not choose sides, but obviously I was more on Ken's side because obviously he was the one that got cheated on. So I started hanging out with him, and I started hanging out with him, and I started telling him how they depended too much on each other. They can't grow as people, and how much people are uncomfortable with them, and all the things I noticed. And the conversation ended, and he took things well and thanked me for being honest. I noticed that Ange was acting cold around me as if I did something wrong, but didn't mind it too much because I know her character has always been kind of distant. So after a while, May started texting me, asking me what's up with Ange, who's beefing who she's beefing with, and all of the things she done along the lines of he's taking my boyfriend, or this person gives me the ick about being too close to Ken. So basically the May friend told OP that basically Ange thinks that, you know, OP is getting into Ken's head. And so essentially yada yada yada, they talking too much. But honestly, I got a little bit confused because I was dragging Ken everywhere and flirting with him and basically being close to him. And I admit I did all those things, but the thing is, I do that with all my friends. I'm queer, for someone of you who are confused. So OP is a gay male, I assume. I can't assume actually, but OP is queer. So yeah, that's just the kind of person I am. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, and I always let people set their boundaries. Anyways, I confronted Ange about this, and she apparently thought I was taking her ex-BF and repeated all the things I had said to Ken, but all Ange kept saying were different reasons to me, and that they're all lies because I know the truth from May. In the end, I decided to just let them be. They got back together, and they view me as a villain for calling them out. You have no business being involved with what other people's mess is going on. And when you see your friend in a toxic relationship, I just mentioned in the last story how we don't really take accountability and we don't tell our friends the truth. Now, what do you do after you've told your friend the truth? In my personal experience, I've used to have a lot of friends that would like date guys that weren't good for them, and like you would give them a pep talk, you know, tell them what's wrong and they should love themselves and they should be inspired, and then next thing you find out, they're back with them again. And I learned after having so many situations like that, you know, let them just drown. You know, two people have that kind of soul tie and that bond together, nothing matters. They themselves are not thinking cognitively, right? So how do you expect them to listen to your logic? And sometimes some people view you as giving advice as you wanting to take their partner from them. Sometimes they think that you want them for yourself, so they feel like you're just trying to say something so that they end up like you, single and whatever. So honestly, I've learned that it's not my place to give you advice about your relationship if you're not going to take it, right? Some people have to learn the hard lessons about relationships on their own. And it sucks, but the reality is that most people, when they're in these kind of situations, they don't listen to anybody else. And it's so crazy because, you know, OP was probably thinking that he was getting closer to Ken or whatever. But Ken, you know, went back because his loyalty and his soul tie is with Ange. So no matter what you say, is always going to come back to her. And that's why she said now OP is left on the outskirts. And that's what people in these soul tie relationships always do. They always, it's like them against everybody else. So if you ever see couples like that, where it's like they break up and make up a lot, and like they, you know, talk ish about each other to like people, just stay out of it. Because honestly, those kind of people, they're always going to choose each other. Right? They're always going to choose each other until literally life does them apart. So it is not your business to get involved, overanalyze, and think about people's relationships. So honestly, I actually do think LP was the a-hole, because you got yourself involved in a relationship that honestly, yes, other people knew about it, but you honestly really didn't have to talk about the partner. You know, this is the person's ex that they're still emotionally involved with, right? So especially after a fresh breakup, you know, you're just kind of causing something. And they mentioned that OP might have been flirty with the guy, so I don't know what's going on with their group, but it's just like in other people's business, they're gonna show you to mind yours. I really love doing these kind of videos. I really like talking about the ethical dilemmas. Let me go with you. I'm tuadior. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.